أصلو تدوشو بايتو زت باخون ورخد سعد خوشو يبنوني روشو أصلو تدوشو بايتو زت باخون ورخد سعد خوشو.
Shlama Lochon. Welcome everybody to the 9th Annual Assyria Day Conference for 2019. I am excited to see such a great turnout today. Thank you all for your attendance. My name is Adarina Shaheen and I will be your Master of Ceremony for this evening. I would now also like to say a few words in Assyrian. Archan yaqire qabulochon yiwach pshena ubaruche wach yomet atur al kullochon u itlan saura et maria alaha betnatar al umtan atureta umamtila al nisho elaya. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please be upstanding for the Australian and the Assyrian national anthems, followed by a minute of silence to show solidarity and respect for our Assyrian martyrs past and present.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth fertile. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia
Before commencing with the program, I would like to acknowledge the Cabrogal of the Darug Nation, traditional custodians of this land upon which we are meeting today. The Assyria Day Conference is proudly brought to you by the Young Assyrians under the auspices of the Assyrian Universal Alliance Australian Chapter. I'd like to formally welcome our guest of honour, His Beatitude Manmilis Zaya, Metropolitan of the Assyrian Church of the East, the Honourable Tanya Davies MP, State Member for Mulgoa, representing the Honourable John Sidoti MP, Minister for Sport, Minister for Multiculturalism, Minister for Seniors and Minister for Veterans, Mayor Frank Carboni, Fairfield City Council, Mr Guy Zangari MP, State Member for Fairfield, Shadow Minister for Justice and Police, Shadow Minister for Corrections, Shadow Minister for Emergency Services, the Reverend Honourable Fred Nile MLC and Mrs Nile, President of the Christian Democratic Party, keynote speaker Professor Efrem Yildiz, Dr Hugh McDermott MP, Member for Prospect, Mr Hermes Shaheen, Deputy Secretary General of the Assyrian Universal Alliance, Mr David David, President of the Assyrian Australian National Federation, Councillor Paul Azor and Councillor Dai Lee from Fairfield City Council, Hila Soor, Head of the Jewish Middle Eastern Youth Committee, Mrs Susie David, AUA and AANF Advisor. I'd also like to welcome our guests from our Assyrian organisations present here today. Now, before commencing with the program, I would like to invite His Beatitude Madmil Azaya, Metropolitan of the Assyrian Church of the East, to bless this gathering with a prayer.
Dear friends, representatives of local government, state and federal, Mr. Hermes Shaheen, our beloved guest Efrem, Dr. Efrem, clergy members all present here, good afternoon. I am very pleased first that I've been invited today for this gathering, and I understand that the Assyrian Universal Alliance, especially the youth organization, are very eager and very, they have the love and they have the love to continue support the work of the Assyrian Universal Alliance here, especially promote the Assyrian cause. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the state members, parliament, local government, and for their continuous support, both sides of the parties, of the government, of the politics, whether Labour or Liberal. They have been a great support for the cause of the Assyrian people, especially their support to the local Assyrians in Fairfield area, Smithfield area. And at the same time, they're doing a great job, both parties. And for our people in Melbourne, we were just talking this some moments ago about their support that the state government in Victoria assisted the church in building a school there with a donation, with a grant of $400,000. I thank Dr. Efrem, and this is the first time we meet, I believe, and I'm certain that he is a very passionate person towards the Assyrian cause, and I believe we will enjoy your lecture this afternoon. Yes, I'm pretty sure we will. But let me say a prayer in Assyrian. Shema wawra ruch al-Quds al-Amin. Buriktuch maran walahan peshin burkhari gawatuch khadamiyatuch وبخلطة خمد رزايوخ بيشين طير سغدانوخ مشري يماري شينوخ وشلاموخ بني أمتنا طوريت ايكد بخاينا دوقت بيديو هايرتلون وآتي بتم عدرانا نجو كل زون ودانات يامارت كل آوا وورا وروخة قدش العالمين آمين آيتم بالسيمة رابا. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Beatitude. For an official welcome, I will now like to call upon the Deputy Secretary General of the Assyrian Universal Alliance. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Shaheen.
Thank you. طوطانوت مرملزية مطربوليطة إيتن قدشتا وكهنا يقيرة وأرخن مغبة قابلوخني وخ بشينا جدها زياخة شيطانية أديوم بطانة وخمنتا من كلوخن هدرتوخن وشركتوخن أمن اتلهيوي بتموريتن خضانا مهنينتا وقانيتن يترانا من خوشيات خرزن بداها ليلة يوم تعاطر إلى خيوم بريخة رمزة غالبوطة الزونة خشكانة ودعور ماريرة أمتا إلى شرايط خضعتيت خاتا وأرخى ختا والخواليت ختا بياشلر شمتا بيت خيادتي ولايا عطورايا قعليمن عليماتا خبيوة وشرب اتياني من برديا أرخد بريا رعشت ختا جبنونا وبناتا اتمخية جاوي عيهيوي تلقتا وقيرت قرطة البلخانة بهونا ويلبانا ومردوطة وخيلة الأرطة الأرعاتا زبطنة أرعى قدشتت أوهاتا أرعت آتور آيتهمون وقت إلى خلمة كل خهدامة شريرة ادعاها أمتا هاوي يومت آتور بريخة الكلوخن His Beatitude Mar Melazaya, distinguished and honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Assyrian Universal Alliance, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the 9th Annual Assyria Day Conference. I extend a warm welcome and appreciation to the honorable members of Parliament, local government, and for all representatives of the Assyrian and Jewish organization for their presence here today, and more specifically to our youth who have attended this conference. I would like to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to our keynote speaker, Professor Efrem Yildiz. It's a pleasure to have you all the way from Spain speaking at our youth conference. Thank you for your time, for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us. My congratulations again to the Young Assyrians for a well-thought and well-designed conference, which clearly shows your determination to deal with the issues on your agenda in a very pragmatic and constructive manner. Ladies and gentlemen, the main objective of reviving Assyria Day is to educate our youth on their history and culture and spread awareness about the indigenous Assyrian existence, about their suffering and their rights to return to their homeland. Youth have a significant and important role to play in the development and building of societies. And societies that have a large percentage of young people are strong societies. This is because the enormous youth energy that drives and elevates them. They are the pillars of any nation and the basis of their development and the builders of its glory and civilization. Luckily, our society is full of young men and women like you who have been blessed with distinctive, bright, and innovative minds, who needs real opportunity to invest their intellectual abilities. It's our obligation as an organization to use all the opportunities and means for our youth to achieve what they aspire to achieve. We must always thank Australia for giving us the opportunities and freedom to achieve the best for our communities. In the meantime, our youth should get involved in local community activities which will boost their confidence and self-esteem and help them build skills and a sense of belonging in their local community. And it gives them the opportunity to make a new friendship and connections. Assyrian seeks peace within the society that welcomes them in any part of the world where the waves lead them. They try to adopt easily and assume the responsibilities of their required citizenship and seek the same rights and privileges for their fellow Assyrians in their homeland. Assyrians have a long history of struggle in the Middle East, whether it's in Turkey, Iran, Iraq, or Syria, and have paid a high price for keeping their name, language, history, tradition, and as much as they could their historical territories. The governments in the Middle East do not acknowledge their indigenous status. They do not compensate them for the crimes against humanity that were committed against them by the successive regimes. They are leaving their homeland not by choice but by force, and we are continuously losing the battle in our homeland due to oppressive governments. However, as long as our youth grow, speak their language, and learn their history, the land will remain Assyria, and we will continue to demand an Assyrian region in northern Iraq, where the Assyrian civilization emerged and flourished more than 7,000 years ago. We will continue to work to eradicate the aggressors from our land in hopes that it will one day be returned to its original owners. On the final note, I express our gratitude to everyone attending Assyria Day. We extend our thanks and appreciation to Multicultural New South Wales for providing the fund to help organizing this event, to all volunteers, and to the management of this wonderful reception. Let us empower our youth to determine their own destiny. We thank you all for your attendance and wish you an enjoyable and successful conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaheen. Our keynote speaker for the 9th Annual Assyria Day Conference has developed his school and academic training in several countries, including Italy, France, and Israel. After obtaining his baccalaureate in philosophy and 2 degrees in ecclesiastical and biblical studies, he completed his studies with a doctorate in biblical theology, with the consequent linguistic formation in both classical languages, Greek and Latin, and Semitic, Hebrew, and Aramaic. Specialized in Semitic languages, he also manages a large repertoire of modern languages, including Spanish, English, French, German, Italian, Hebrew, modern Assyrian Aramaic, Turkish, among others. Efrem Yildiz is currently a full-time professor of Hebrew and Aramaic Studies in the Faculty of Philology, University of Salamanca, Spain, since 1997. He has participated in several national and international research projects. He is a committee member of several national and international scientific journals. He is also the author and coordinator of a large number of books and articles in national and international journals on Aramaic language, literature, history, and the culture of Aramaic-speaking peoples. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Professor Efrem Yildiz, with his topic for today, the Assyrian identity and their religious complexity.
Thank you very much for this marvelous gathering. It's a special day for me, and I'm thankful. So, as I was telling you, it's a huge pleasure for me to be here among you. It's the first time I'm in Australia. So my Qubul Taibut, special Qubul Taibut, which means Thanksgiving. Thank you very much for this invitation, where I can share with you a topic which is quite complicated, but I will do my best to summarize. Talking about a topic like this one, the Assyrian identity and their religious complexity, is a very complicated topic, and I'm sure I'm not going to be able to explain it in, if I'm not wrong, 30 minutes, if you are generous in this way. So we will just try to deal with it just as a slight first touch in order to show you the continuity of the Assyrian nation from the very beginning until today. And then where is the biggest difference once we deal with the religious branches that are included in the Assyrian nation. Let's start just in a very short way with the first phase, which takes us to the very beginning of the ancient time. A people, a territory, but different names. Where does the name Assyrian, Babylonian, Chaldean, and so on comes from? So we will deal with the history of ancient Mesopotamia, the race of different groups in Babylonia. As you know, the name Babel, it comes from Karduniash. It's even the ancient name of Babel and Ashur. And then we will deal with the names of different groups since 2300 BC. As you know, as any other culture, people and nations that raised throughout the history, our history more or less goes back, let's say, as small kingdoms, city-states, to 5,500 years BC, which means that the first city-states or kingdoms that were started to have an organized existence start from Ur, Uruk, Lagash, Issin, Nippur, Kish, and so on, arriving to Babel, Sippar, and going even to the Nineveh and Ashur, okay? Where you see the 3 points, which it means that there was a state, structure, organized culture and society. What happened then afterwards? We will jump in order to save time. Good, it's better now. As you will see, those kingdoms that have been mentioned, then they have been submitted to a central power, was started in 2300 before Christ under the power of our first Assyrian king, who started, let's say, you go from 3200 and then go on. Then Sargon the first started putting them under the same control. The idea of an empire goes back to the 3rd millennium BC. Could you please do it? Yeah. Once the Assyrian Empire started becoming bigger and much more powerful, many elements have taken place which haven't been explained in a clear way. Each time there is a change, also the influences from outside came and became part of the Assyrian ancient policy. That's why when the Galuta deportation process started, many changes have taken also place in the Assyrian society. If you imagine, many people from this side, different Aramean small states, were included in the Assyrian policy and power. Those states that didn't accept from the very beginning the mighty of the Assyrian power, they were used to be transported from their original land to the other part of the Assyrian Empire. And what has it supposed as this change? Through this policy, 2 different languages came in touch in a very close way: ancient Aramaic language and Assyrian language. Assyrian language at that time was written in cuneiform script, and the Aramaic language that was written by a consonantic scripture, which we are used to say letters. Imagine 613 or 632 syllabic signs in comparison with 22 letters, or at least they have become 27. So the Aramaic language and the Assyrian language have lived together for at least 200 years. And the simplicity of the Aramaic language has been one of the main reasons why it gradually became part of the Assyrian society. But let me explain you a clear, important point. The simple fact that we call it Aramaic is because of these facts. But in reality, even the Jewish people called it Ashurit, which means Assyrian. So the deportation has supposed a very big change. The division, the geographic, we are used to divide the Semitic languages according to their geographical location. That's why we talk about north. I will tell about it a bit later. But anyway, this part which was more or less inhabited by the Aramean small states, part of them, or most of them, were included in or all of them were included in the Assyrian empire system. Part of them, they were deported to the Assyrian heartland. And there are other groups, because now we have a big discussion among the community. We are asking whether we are Assyrians, or we are Chaldeans, or we are Arameans, or we are this and that. Where does it come from? It's due to this fact that many people were gathered together. 2 different languages, at least 2 different languages, shared a huge period of time. So what we have to take into account for this first period, one thing is the language, but you can be sure whether Aramean or Chaldean or whoever, or even Hittites, because the deportation process, there were Jewish who were transported in 721 and then in the 6th century. There were many people transported from here to the Assyrian heartland, from the south to the north. But each time there was a process of transporting, other people were resettled there. So it doesn't mean that it was emptied. There's a huge mixture of cultures and languages. But all those people who were taken to the Assyrian homeland, they thought as Assyrians, they spoke as Assyrians, they felt as Assyrians, and they worshipped Assyrian gods and so on at that time. Now the question is, how far can a people survive after 200 years, 300 years being considered this, keeping alive their authenticity or their identity? There is no chance. The simple idea of the Roman Empire, that every Roman citizen, wherever he was living, he felt as a Roman. This is not a Roman idea, this was even the Assyrian one. Okay? Let's go just as a short one. So this process was, as you see, from south to the north, from west to the east, and so on. And there are different periods where different people were deported from one side to the other. I'm going to do it fast because I know that we don't have time. The Assyrian managed a huge part of the Middle Eastern territory. Starts from this side, goes until Urartu, and it ended here in the Egyptian territory. What do I want to tell you about this? Many, many cultures were taken and lived with each other. Many languages and also elements have been kept somehow in different places. But once we are jumping, I'm trying to summarize it because in 30 minutes it's impossible to explain it. Two elements have been kept. When the Achaemenids, the ancient Persians, invaded Assyria, they changed everything, but two things were kept: administrative system and the language. Why is the Aramaic language called lingua franca? It's due to this fact, the changes, but they maintained the language even for the whole region. Even they arrived even until here. So language and administrative system were kept as the Assyrians were using them for centuries. Let's go a bit far and fast. All this period, you see this in different directions. The Assyrian Empire was becoming wider and wider. This has created, let's say, these three linguistic branches, which we call Semitic language is an artificial expression. It has been invented in Germany. Because once the archaeological excavations were undertaken, many inscriptions came out and nobody knew what to do with. And gradually, when they became acquainted with the language, that this is Assyrian language, this is cuneiform script, and so on, they have started classifying the languages according to a name. Semitic comes from Sem. It's a biblical term that has been used as a reference. That's why we have never used it. If you ask to a Middle Eastern scholar what language were used or what linguistic family were used, all these expressions have been developed in Western world. That's why we talk about the Assyrian or the Semitic languages, which are Northwestern, which was Assyrian and Babylonian, and then, Akkadian, and then the Northwestern Semitic, which is Palestine and Syria, Aramaic and Canaanite, from which comes Hebrew and Phoenician and so on, and Southwestern Semitic, which is Arab and Ethiopian. I'm trying to do it in a very fast way because we do have much more. Now we are on a period where other change has taken place. The Greeks invaded the whole region. And the main idea of Alexander the Great was not to invading only, but it was also he had a whole project to transmit his culture and language.